Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with my good friend Matt Gallegos, or some folks know him as Matthew Gallegos or Mr. Gallegos or Coach, all the different titles that he carries, and dad and husband, obviously. And he's come to us from his man cave, and so we're grateful for that. We're joking about it before we got on how the older we get, the more space we lose in our own house, but that's a blessing to have, right? So anyway, we grew up together. I think probably since I don't know about elementary or middle school. But grateful to have been friends all these years and
Yeah.
just see all the things that you're doing for the community and your family, and super appreciative, man. So thanks for taking the time with me today.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, yeah, man. So for those that don't know you, tell us about kind of where you grew up and kind of how you got into the career that you're in.
Sure. How much time do we have?
As much as you want, man.
Yeah, no, yeah, so my background, growing up in North County, um, along with you, um, my I wouldn't say I came from a traditional household to say the least, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, so the way that I grew up was it's a little different. Like, I have a pretty big sized family. However, when I was young, my father passed away. This is a story that most people don't know, but yeah.
Oh
So
wow.
I was about 8 months old when my
Oh
father
wow.
passed away, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
so I was raised kind of by like our family. I spent a lot of time with my aunt, uncle. My mom went through some difficult times when I was younger, and um, yeah, so just growing up in Moss Landing, I had a tight knit, family tribe, I guess, and been here ever since. I actually live in the house that my grandpa built.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, years ago, like in the 50s. So
Wow.
I bought it from my parents. So my mom, like, she got it together. She remarried, and so the house that I live in was actually a foster house. So
Oh
my
wow.
dad, my father, his family, him and his brothers and sisters were foster children growing
Oh
up,
wow.
and so my grandpa, he was a retired firefighter, and him and his wife started this foster house. There's actually two houses on the property here, and so after my father passed away, my mother, we still lived here. And then when she got ready to retire, they were ready to do different things. And so my wife and I, we bought the house. We wanted one, it has sentimental value to
Of
us,
course.
to my brothers and sisters, and
Of course.
being here and raising my family. And it's been a blessing. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's a little bit about
Well, tell
my,
us about,
yeah,
obviously growing up in the 80s and 90s. I feel um, blessed that we grew up in that era. I think maybe one of the last generations to kind of grow up playing outside and kind of before technology kind of took over and both parents had to work, and we were just out there being wild, and
yeah,
I grew up in kind of Watsonville and Castroville and just always kind of passing through Moss Landing until we went to school there. But you actually grew up like in town and like
yeah,
all, I mean, pretty much on the beach and in the slough, and like what was that like?
yeah, yeah. So growing up in Moss Landing, we're like northern end of North County. North County really is a rural community, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I have family like Salinas, Castroville, Prunedale, Watsonville.
yeah.
So we're just all over. Like, so where I live, I'm on the outskirts. Most people think of Moss Landing like the harbor,
Yeah,
little
right.
neighborhood in the harbor there. And then I'm like on the outskirts, which is all ag land,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, if you're familiar with where Moss Landing School is, we're kind of like in that area, right?
Okay, okay.
Where our property's at. Um, so growing up, yeah, outside, man. I mean, we used to ride our bikes everywhere.
Yeah,
So I mean, I'd be out in the ag fields. We build dirt jumps and motorcycles, and I'd ride my bike to the beach. Surfboard, boogie board on the back.
yeah,
Get dropped off, by the after school over there, and we'd just be hanging out on the beach. I mean, from the time I was, gosh, fifth grade,
yeah.
maybe up until now, even.
Yeah, no, it
Since we
was a
had-
special time and a special place. It's like, unless you're kind of from there, you just kind of pass by it on your way to Monterey or on your way to Santa Cruz, and it's like
yeah.
kind of a best kept secret, which we obviously locals prefer it that way. But
Yeah.
more and more people with social media and GPS have found out about it. But growing
Yeah.
up, it seemed like nobody really knew about it,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
really cool. And for being in Castroville, we would. It was kind of hard to ride your bikes out there, but yeah, if we could get a
Yeah.
ride like on summer break and they just leave us out there during the day and we'd have fun at the beach or whatever, or walk around the fields. But yeah, man, just an awesome time and an awesome place to grow up. So after high school, where did you wind up after high school?
Yeah, so after high school, I kind of chased, I still had an itch to compete a little bit in wrestling. And so I moved out
Yeah,
to Fresno, went to Fresno City,
awesome.
junior college, wrestled there, and then came back. Different reasons why I had to come. I came back, and and then I still had the itch, to wrestle. So I actually linked up with a couple of people. I'm sure Gus Palacios and
Yep, yep,
Mike
yep.
Caldron, and we went up to Lassen Junior College, and they
Okay,
competed on the national junior circuit, JUCO. So so I was still kind of pursuing wrestling. I always knew that I wanted to coach. I always knew it. And so I put myself, Fresno is like the hotbed of wrestling in California. And so I knew that I needed to be there. I had family in Fresno, so they let me live with them, and I had some great coaches there, learned as much as I
nice.
could, had some great teammates there who I'm still in contact with some of them. And then
Yeah,
after
that
that,
squad you just mentioned, those guys, man, those were all you guys were solid. That was a good team
yeah,
you
those are
guys
some
had.
solid guys
Those
for
were some
sure.
beasts.
Good dudes. And so then, so then after that, we still, like I was like, man, I want some more. And we had a coach that was just started coaching at Lassen. So Paul Gomez,
Nice.
he wrestled, he went to North County, he was an alumni. He was an All-American at
Oh
Nebraska,
wow.
one of the few
Damn.
converts that was a D1
Yeah,
All-American.
you're talking about Fresno being for California, but the Midwest for the whole country, huh, right? It's like Iowa, Michigan,
Yeah,
Nebraska are like the
Nebraska.
wrestling hubs. Yeah.
Exactly. So he went out there to Nebraska All American, and then he came back and he started coaching at Lassen. And like, he said, hey guys, we're going to be, I'm going to be up here coaching, starting this team. So I went up to Lassen with Mike and Gus. And I also had a soccer background too. I didn't play in
Oh,
high
nice.
school, but I played club
Because it's
soccer.
the same season. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just starting their team. So I actually played soccer for that junior college team.
Nice.
Like a bad news bears, though, man. That's a story for another time. It's a bunch of mountain boys. So, uh, but yeah, then I also wrestled for them, and I learned a lot. Had some great coaches, and then again, is just another thing. Just like I was saying, kind of with I love my family. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of started off rough there, but
It's all good.
there's just always things going on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I had to come back home, after the first year or whatever it lasted, and then like I knew I wanted to coach, like that was just something
Yeah.
always with me, and I started helping out at North County.
Well, I think
Um,
every athlete has that point where they spend so much of their time, preparing and practicing and training and competing. And then there just comes a point in every athlete's career where it's like, okay, it's time to hang them up, whatever
yeah,
that is, either because, you ran out of eligibility or you got an injury or just,
right,
father time is undefeated. And then you realize like, well, not everybody does, but a lot of times guys that are, good athletes end up becoming some of the best coaches because they know the work that it takes. There are
yeah,
some coaches that never competed that are still really good coaches, but
absolutely, yeah,
a lot of times the best coaches are ones that competed themselves because they really understand, the pressure and
yeah,
they can relate to an athlete on a different level.
yeah, right. No, totally. I mean, I wasn't the greatest competitor, but I was certainly a student of the sport,
Right.
and I think that's helped a lot. And having really good coaches
But
has
but
really helped.
sometimes that makes you better coach because you knew what it was to overcome. I remember I forget exactly what year it was, maybe '07, '08, or '06, and I'd come back to coach. I've coached basketball and track over the years at
Yeah,
North County, the middle school and the high school. And I remember, I think maybe it was '06 one year, and I got brought in, and Coach Ibarra was like, "All right, you're coaching the sprinters." And I was like, "What?" Because I had done hurdles and high jump and stuff, and I was like, "I
yeah,
don't know how to coach sprinters, but I knew how to coach sports." So I was like, "I'll figure it out. We'll just run them hard."
sure.
And I ended up. We had a really talented boys team and a not as talented girls team,
Mhm.
but I was more proud of the girls at the end of the year because
Yeah,
the guys were supposed to win. and they
Right.
acted like it, and they didn't work that hard, and they just were super talented. The girls, it's kind of a ragtag, like you said, bad news bears bunch. I mean, there were
Yeah.
some good athletes in there, but it was, Coach O's style. He kind of invented that style of like, we may not get first place, but we're going to get second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know with wrestling too, it's kind of a team sport, and the points add up,
Absolutely.
and that was kind of the strategy.
Yeah.
And so I was more proud of that girls team because they really worked hard. They overachieved, whereas the guys are kind of like,
Right.
and it kind of pissed me off because some of them were super talented and gifted and athletic, but they just didn't have the same work ethic.
Yeah. No, that's always a win though. Like you're saying, you have the underdogs and they rise to the occasion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty special to have a team like that and to be a part of a team like that.
Yeah, because if you have a stud, you're like, well, how much
They're
can the
expected to
how much can
win.
the coach take credit for the kid
Yeah.
being 6 foot and being able to run a 440?
Right.
Like
Yeah, yeah, and the guys that don't, right, the noodle arm or noodle leg guys that come in and you're coaching them through it and
yeah.
into some like a league title or whatever it is,
It,
like that's special, man.
yeah,
It
for
really is.
sure. What is in football and basketball and track, it's kind of easy to spot like what you look for in an athlete, right? And in wrestling, what are some of the things that you look for as a coach in
Yeah,
wrestling?
so for me, it's not so much like
Because sometimes being too big is actually a weakness.
yeah, it's not. I'm not really so much looking for the body type, right? I wouldn't say that there's like you could be gangly and still be good.
Yeah,
You could be small and stout and do well. I'm really looking for like certain characteristics, right? And really, it's work ethic. You
yeah,
see the kids during practice, and they might be have two left feet, right? They're tripping over themselves walking in the room, but you see the effort that they're putting in.
yeah,
Those are the kids I'm like, okay, we could do something with them, right? We could
yeah.
we could teach them the mechanics, we could work on the drilling and the technique and all that, but they have something, right? It's
Mhm.
that work ethic, and if you have that work ethic, whether it's in wrestling or in life, like I think you're going to do well, right?
Yeah, totally.
You're bound to
I was
have some.
fortunate. My older brother wrestled a little bit, and then like you said, there was a conflict of seasons, so we chose basketball kind of in our
Yeah,
house. But our dad taught us how to box and how to wrestle, but we were
yeah.
just a basketball like household. But it's funny, talk about you were in Lassen in that era, and I remember, I don't know, I guess about Sacramento in that era because UFC was going mainstream, right? It was going from
Hmm.
this weird kind of side pay-per-view thing to mainstream. And I remember like everybody walking around Sacramento or down in Long Beach with like tap out gear and like thinking they're
Yeah,
all
the
cool.
affliction shirt
And you're
to
like, all
yeah.
right, dude. But I was like, hey, don't worry about the guy in the tap out shirt. Worry about the
Yeah,
guy with cauliflower ear and a
right.
flat nose.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you want to watch out for. And so
That's so
if you've
funny.
competed or you're from the streets, you kind of know what to look for, and it has nothing to do with the shirt you're wearing. It's all about like, you can
Yeah.
tell if someone's a wrestler or a
Some
fighter.
bruises on their foreheads and on their face, right? Not
Exactly.
so much the
I was
shirt. Yeah,
like,
no, I
yeah, watch
remember this. That's so funny, man. I
little
love
little
that.
cues you figure out. But yeah, how has it been? Has it obviously wrestling is probably the oldest sport of mankind, running
Yeah,
and wrestling. I mean, the
running and wrestling, man.
original Greek Olympics.
Yeah.
How have you seen that evolution from like real actual wrestling being more popular now? I feel like than it has been in a long time because of
Sure.
maybe the Olympics or social media.
Yeah.
I grew up watching WWF. That's not the same. That's
Same.
not real wrestling,
Yeah,
right?
man.
And then you get into UFC and kind of mixed martial arts, which uses wrestling, but
Yeah.
wrestling itself is actually becoming a lot more popular.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I've seen, I mean, um, well, girls or young ladies wrestling in high school has been the fastest growing sport,
You're right.
like over the past 10 years or something. And I think some people want to attribute it to mixed martial arts, the popularization of UFC and things like that. A lot of the athletes that do well do have wrestling backgrounds, but
Yep.
I really do think, and some people might argue with this a little bit, but I do think that USA Wrestling, which is the umbrella organization for our youth wrestling, has really done a good job of promoting. And there's young upcoming wrestlers who, with social media, I mean, they're on social media, they're kind of spreading the news.
Yeah.
I'd say we've grown a little bit, but not like in terms of like the numbers, like for youth wrestling, it fluctuates, but I see that there's more events now. There's this thing called Beat the Streets,
Yeah.
where they're out working in inner cities, and they bring in international competitors, and they put on these big outdoor events.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have crossover guys like, I'm not sure, like a Ben Askren, who's
Yep.
an MMA fighter and
Yep.
involved in a lot of things. But like they'll come over and they'll, like a Henry Cejudo, they'll put on events with like USA
Yeah.
Wrestling. So there's been a lot more promotion, and our USA teams have been doing quite well. There used to be, well, there's what's called these regional training centers, right? And so those have expanded like across the United States, whereas before there was minimal. A lot of guys had to go to Colorado
Um,
to train, and I think there was one in um, oh gosh, so there was like one or two other ones, right? And
yeah.
so a lot of the guys were kind of just like jumping from club to club trying to get in training, but now they have these regional training centers. I want to say Stanford just popped one open, and I know Fresno had
Nice.
one that they opened. San Francisco State, I think, which is a D2 school, opened one too under Jason Welch. So they're all over now, whereas
Nice.
before there was minimal. So the opportunities have exponentially increased, and social media has helped, and
Yeah.
these events have helped. So yeah, I do see, you do see it more kind of in the mainstream, whereas
Well, and
before.
wrestling is such a unique. Not only is it obviously the oldest sport known to man, one of them anyway. It's in a team sport like soccer or football or even basketball or hockey. It's like everybody has a role to play. You may or may not touch the ball or touch the puck. In wrestling, it's like one versus one.
Yeah,
And even
yeah,
though there's team like points in the tournament,
yeah,
like in the individual match, it's one
yeah,
on
you're
one,
the
and
one on stage.
it's a different
Yeah,
dynamic than some of those other sports, right? And so
yeah,
you got to really like want to be in that moment and be in that spotlight. And the other thing is it's one of the sports that really prepares you for life in the sense of like respecting your opponent,
yeah,
the hard work. I mean, I remember being growing up with you guys and seeing guys like Gus or Sergio, like, wearing
yeah,
a plastic bag and spitting in a
sure.
cup and trying to make weight. And I'm like, dang, dude, I'm over here eating like McDonald's before a basketball game. Like,
Uh,
dang, you know?
yeah,
Uh, and of course, I mean, you got that 17-year-old metabolism. It's the best it's ever going to be, but it's also like, I remember the dedication of seeing wrestlers, like they're a different breed. I
yeah.
mean, these guys are like fasting. Like,
You
what is
gotta
that?
be
Like,
you gotta
making
be a
weight.
little
What is that?
crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little crazy to be a
I
wrestler. But
remember you guys used to like dye your hair all
yeah,
crazy.
shave the eyebrows and dye the
Yeah.
hair.
What are these guys
Yeah,
doing in that room?
yeah, yeah,
Maybe the
yeah.
fumes are getting to them.
Yeah, really though. Yeah, I don't know why we did it.
Yeah. Well, it was intimidation or just like camaraderie or, everyone has their thing. And I think in some ways, even though, it's weird because even though you don't play together as a team at the same time, like the other sports, there is a different camaraderie among wrestlers.
Yes.
I've noticed the wrestling team because it's
Yeah.
like every man or every woman needs to do their part, right, to score
Yeah.
points and to carry their weight and win their match.
Yeah.
And it's just a different dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the training that you're doing together, I mean, blood, sweat, and tears, and you're doing
Yeah,
it,
literally.
together, and the
Yeah,
things that you like, you're over here and you're like on your last push up and you think you're going to give up, and your buddy's looking like, don't give up,
yeah,
like
yeah,
coach is going to make a sprint if you do, right?
yeah,
Uh, so I mean, just like the trials that you go through as teammates, I mean, it builds a bond.
yeah.
I mean, you're in the trenches together, and supporting one another, and that's really what makes a good team. If it's just all individuals kind of doing their own thing,
Yeah.
there is no cohesion, and you need good training partners. You need guys that are going to bring it every day, and
Yeah,
so
and it's usually in the winter
yeah,
and it's usually in this dark dungeon of a gym. It's
yeah,
not like it's track or baseball where it's in the spring and you're outside,
yep,
It's like we're gonna get sweaty in this dark dungeon for hours and we're gonna love
yeah,
it. But it's awesome. And it prepares you again for life because I been in some fights and was a
sure.
bouncer for a while and been in nightlife and we've been at concerts together. Sometimes shit goes down and
Yeah,
like if you're in a scuffle, you wanna have a wrestler on your team
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're good on their feet and they know
right,
center of gravity and it might
yeah,
not be as sexy and get the
the
knockout, but it's going to protect you. That's who you're going to want in a scuffle.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And also like training, like, like kind of like what you're capable of.
Right.
right? And so when you see yourself kind of, those situations happening, it's really easy to like talk like I'd rather talk my way out of a
Right. Of
situation
course.
like that, right?
Of course.
Because you're going against somebody that's untrained. It's a whole
Right.
different game,
It's a
right? And
wild
so
card.
a
Yeah.
lot of wrestlers are humble because they've, I mean, you learn to lose, right?
They've been under pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been under pressure and you get beat, and you don't want that to spill out into the streets or to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You
There's
know?
not as many just traditional wrestling gyms for the public. It's
Mhm.
usually like you're doing it in school, but there's
Yeah,
been obviously an explosion of like jujitsu gyms, right? And which
yeah,
is a form of wrestling.
totally.
And they say that to like, if you want to be humbled, like no matter how good of an athlete as you are, start off as a white belt in jujitsu and you'll get
Oh
humbled
yeah,
real quick, you know?
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
part of it. That's part of the experience is learning to like, get back to basics and learn and train. But so obviously we could go on and on for about
yeah.
sports and about wrestling,
Sure.
which is a big part of your life. But when you finally kind of hung it up as a competitor
Mhm.
and you were going to school, when did you kind of get serious about finishing school, and where were you going at the time?
Yeah, so I moved back home, and like I said, I always knew I wanted to coach, and I realized at some point that I also wanted to teach.
Okay.
I have, my sister's a teacher, cousins,
Awesome.
teach, and
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to teach, and I knew that I wanted to coach. I thought I wanted to teach history, right?
Mm.
So I came back. I was working construction, and I got into at CSUMB. Like I took some time. Like I knew, and like just financially, like I knew I needed to save some money and do that whole
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Staying at home. So in my early 20s, I went back to school, and I got into the global studies program at CSUMB. I
Awesome.
thought
That's the
that'd
one
be a
I'm
sure
looking at.
way. Yeah, I thought that my sister graduated from CSUMB and she got her teaching credential there. So I was like, I'm just going to do that, global
Yeah.
studies, learn about history and the world and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And But I was also working construction, and in construction, it's like, you work a job, the job ends, and then you're in between. You're waiting
Right.
for, your contractor to either pick up another
Right.
work or another job to start. You're,
Right.
maybe doing some side work with other people. And I was like, okay, man, like I just need to keep consistent, right? And so um, I knew that I wanted to get into education. And there was an opening through a nonprofit that worked with students with special needs.
Mm.
And so, I got hired on there, and I was working at an elementary school in PG, and they had me as a 1-to-1 with this little kindergartner named Patch, who was
Oh,
autistic.
nice.
And here you go, I'm a, I don't know, construction guy,
Yeah.
like surfer, kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
work
Wrestler.
hard,
Yeah.
work hard, play hard type of dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
here I have this like little kindergartner that I'm responsible for.
Wow.
Totally changed my life, man.
Yeah.
Totally changed my life. Just like helping him and working with him and like just seeing like the beauty in that, I
Yeah.
guess, in not just autism, but in this young person that needed you.
Mm.
And it changed my life. And I was like, okay, I don't think I want to teach history anymore. I think I want to work in special education.
Mm.
And so I went through CSUMB, did the global studies program there, and then started the credential program for special education like right after.
Awesome.
And so, yeah. And
But
so,
I
yeah.
decided I didn't go to school. I went to a church based program and then just kind of started life. I didn't really go back to traditional college until like a year ago. So I'm actually planning to transfer to CCB for the Global Studies program next year.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
great program,
yeah.
man. And it's never too late. You're always learning, right? We're
Thanks,
always
man. Yeah,
learning.
yeah, totally. So you had your first student that just kind of changed your heart, changed your mind. My wife is also special needs teacher as
Yeah.
well, so it does take a special person, special calling, and it just teaches you a lot about yourself and about other students and about education.
Yeah.
So once you got through the program and you kind of were full on as a teacher, what was that like? Where did you
Yeah.
start?
At North County, so what I teach is called post-secondary transition, right? So I
Okay,
work with students that are between the ages of 18 to 22, special
okay,
needs,
okay,
right? And so they're no longer like in high school. It's like we're trying to transition them into the adult world. So I have
okay.
them for typically 4 years, unless they, exit out earlier, they
Oh
graduate earlier.
wow.
Yeah. So Um, so I was working at the high school. I was like substitute teaching. I worked as a paraprofessional to kind of get my foot in the door there.
Yeah.
And the teacher that started the transition program at North County, so that's what I teach at North County, the YAP Young Adult Program. She moved to she was planning to move to Pacific Grove to teach over there. So she ran the program for 2 years, started at North County, and she was my mentor teacher.
Nice.
And I so that's Lorraine Ramirez Gonzalez, and she's also part of Abilities Cafe, which
Oh, cool. Shout out to her.
yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Lorraine. So when she told me that she was leaving, she's like, "Hey, I think you'd be perfect for this. Is this something you're interested in?" And I wasn't sure like what grade level I'd worked, from preschool all the way through high school, like where I wanted to be in special education. And I got to kind of hang out in her class, and I think I substituted her class for like a week or something. And I realized that okay, this is cool. Like getting the kids ready for that next like stage of life, kind of preparing them. Um, we have the tail end of their public education career, so to speak, and like it's scary for families, and like the training that we provide, and like kind of it's just I hope that it's like somewhat reassuring that we're to the families that hey, we're going to do the best we can to get your son or daughter ready for that next step. So that's how I jumped into what I teach at North County, and I've been there as a teacher for 10 years.
It's so important because, some obviously some children and their needs are so severe that they're going to be need to stay with their parents for the rest of their life, and maybe
Yeah.
they'll never drive or they'll never be able to have a family of their own, and that's a different path, right? But then there's others that maybe they're just neurodivergent in one way or the other, that maybe makes certain things challenging, but everything else they can do,
Yeah.
driving, having a job or whatever it is, a career, starting their own family. And so I think the awareness now of folks like yourself who've taken the time to study the different methodologies and the different classifications and different ways of communicating with folks and their families. And obviously some of it's cultural, right?
Yeah.
I know my wife deals with that a lot. She's like, well, sometimes she'll translate to the to the Latin community, and there it's not even, I mean, they're a little bit in a different stage of accepting and understanding the the different I mean, you would know better than I how to explain it, but basically it's beautiful to see now that I feel like folks with special needs are more empowered than ever because of
Yeah.
the knowledge that folks like yourself have.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you did a great job explaining it, Jordan. That's really what it is. I mean, we all deserve like a quality of life, right?
Yep.
Like a
Yep.
positive quality of life, and as special educators, that's really what we're trying to do for our students. Um, and whether it's at the young, the little guys, all the way up to
Yeah.
the to my age group, that's really what you know we're trying to do, and,
I
and
didn't
with the
know that.
families
I didn't.
too.
I'm glad that I'm learning this because I didn't know that there was anything for 18 to 22, which is such a critical age
Yeah, it really,
for any
yeah,
student, let alone a student with special needs. That's so
yeah,
cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of people don't, right? And so it is one of those things that students have to qualify for, and
Okay.
whatnot to get that what we call the post secondary transition. There's like it's growing. It really is. I mean, there's awareness that's growing. The neurodivergent community is
Yeah.
really there's just a lot more options than there was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful to see. A lot of families don't know, and so like spreading the word, and like ensuring that they have the resources, that's a big part of my job. Really
Hmm.
is. Like I spend
Hmm.
a lot of times with families, like communicating with parents. I mean, I have a vast spectrum of students
Yeah.
with different needs, whether it's
Hmm.
Down syndrome to just maybe a learning disability.
Right.
So, I have some students that are taking college classes, and some students that, are nonverbal, and might not be able to ever have a job, or,
Right.
and for them, it's more about like, learning life skills and things that are going to help them and help their families as they age,
Right. Having support. And
having support.
that's a beautiful thing that you are able to provide because it's Otherwise, where would they get those services? How would they be able to? And you know, it breaks my heart to think about,
Yeah,
how many folks with special needs. Obviously, like I said, some are maybe more severe, and they're going to need that assistance their entire life. But then others who maybe were not severe
yeah,
but missed out on so much in life because they didn't have the tools and the
absolutely.
words and the support like you're providing now. They could have lived a much different life, but they didn't because
They
they
didn't know.
didn't know better. Their family
Yeah,
didn't
no,
know
that,
better.
and you're spot on, man.
Yeah.
And that's really why, like, how Abilities Cafe came around.
Yeah. Tell us
Uh,
about Abilities Cafe.
yeah, so um, just like you're saying, like what I saw when students were graduating, it's like what options they're like, there's some adult day programs and out that are out there, but if the parents don't know,
Yeah.
or even, they like a lot of parents, they have fear of like, sending their kids off to these programs. They've been, so used to the public education kind of world. A lot of them, would like they graduate and they regress because they're
Mm.
not out there,
They don't have the support and
they don't
community.
have the support,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and that was like, for me, it was really heartbreaking to see, students that I had worked with, and, and then I see them out in the community and it's like, man, like that's not even the same person anymore. That's not even
Yeah.
the same kid.
Yeah.
It's like, and I was feeling for the families, um, just the struggles that they were going through.
Yeah.
And so like, I had floated this idea in my mind, like, okay, do you remember the ice cream university at North
I
County?
was gonna ask. Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was the ICU or what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
So
course.
so we used to have at our high school, it was like our Baskin Robbins that, was run by
Yeah.
our
Yep.
special needs students. When
Yep.
I came to North County, they had like it just they ended that program, whatever, whoever was running it. I
Right.
think they ended it, and so there wasn't really a lot of options for our students. So I wanted to start a coffee cart, and so like I started this coffee cart, and it got me thinking too about like, okay, well, what else? Like trying to give our kids like work skills and getting them out in front of people and learning, the social interaction. There's so many positive things around
Right.
that.
Counting money.
Counting money, yeah, math
Yep.
skills, all that
Yep.
stuff, right?
Yep.
So, um, I, I stayed in contact with Lorraine, and she had this idea, like on a grander scale. She's like, "Hey, like, what do you think about like, starting this, like a cafe where we could, teach employment skills and work skills and things like that for our students?" And she was a part of like a CSUMB workshop of some sorts, like small business or nonprofit
Mm.
workshop. They had like some competition that and that's how we met some of our board members now, was through this whole kind of process. I forget what the competition's called. It's like, oh, it'll come to me later, but essentially like develop a business plan, and
Oh
then
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like a
you
small business
it's
incubator
kind
or
of like a
something.
Shark Tank, I guess,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and you go in front of, people and you have to present, and maybe somebody will,
Elevator pitch.
yeah, that type of thing,
Yeah.
and so we did that. And then we just started kind of like, spreading the news to different folks and people with, special needs, and parents and other community members and business people. And we kind of built our little team, and then COVID hit. um, and so we were kind of like back and forth. Like, I mean, you don't really want to get into like a brick and mortar place during COVID,
Right. And
so
that's close quarters.
yeah, yeah. So we kind of, we're just still kind of brainstorming different things, but we knew that we needed to get into a place, and that's kind of where we're at now, right? So like everything has been really grassroots. I
Yeah.
mean, like we don't have, raising our own money,
Okay.
everything, getting like the business plan made up for us.
And from a
Just
practical perspective, if someone wanted to donate or partner with you, is that through the district because it's on campus?
No, okay, so yeah, there's separate. So our coffee cart that we do is
Okay.
totally separate from
Okay.
Abilities Cafe.
Oh, okay.
Abilities
Okay.
Cafe is its own nonprofit.
Do you ever do oh, it is its own nonprofit. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can you do stuff offsite or is it all on campus?
So so what I have on campus with the coffee cart is through the school. It's
Okay.
like it's part of like our ASB club thing
Okay. Okay.
that I run through my
Just a
classroom.
fundraiser for the students.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is totally separate. And Abilities Cafe, it's not tied to the school district at all. It's just its own separate thing.
Okay. But
So
it's in the old ICU building.
no,
Oh,
no,
okay. Where is it?
yeah. So my coffee cart that's on campus, it's just a little coffee cart that we have and we push out to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
where the main offices are out there.
Yeah.
And so we're there in the morning, and we
I bet the
sell.
teachers are super grateful for
Oh,
you.
they love it, man. Yeah, they love it. We get all the counselors and everybody coming
That's
out.
awesome.
So yeah, so that's just this little coffee cart that where our kids are, they're learning to work with customers and to
Yeah.
serve
Yeah.
and to
Very cool.
yeah. So
So,
that's
and
like
then
its own little
Abilities
thing.
Cafe, where's the Abilities Cafe?
So right now, Abilities Cafe, we're working out of Schillings Cafe, which is the old Schillings building, which is now the Monterey County what do you call it? Oh gosh, governmental building in Salinas.
Oh, it's the old household credit services.
Yeah, yeah. So that whole area over
Oh,
there? Yeah.
yes.
So there's a cafe on the bottom and Shillings,
Oh, yes.
well, it used to be called Shillings, right?
Yeah.
So they just named the cafe Shillings Cafe. It's in
Yeah.
that
Now it's
governmental
the
building.
county, all
Yeah.
different county departments. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we've partnered with them, and they're allowing us to use that. Like they run the cafe part of it, right? They make all the food and things like that. And Abilities has come in, and they're like, it's providing like kind of like a work experience for
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
kind of our the population that we work with, right? And
Well, and I
so
know that there's a local company, I think Sal Alvarez and
yeah,
Emilio Diaz Infante, they just got the new cafe contract.
yes,
They're opening soon. Do you work with
they
them as
did.
well?
That's them.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Awesome. Very
hmm
cool.
yeah.
I left. Yeah, I was there the day when they made the announcement at the county. So very cool. I didn't know that that was connected. I'm learning
Yeah,
a
so
lot today.
there was like an opening. They've been open for about 2-3 months now. They opened in 2 months, maybe February 20th.
Very
So
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
so we partnered up with them, and
So you're
yeah,
close to
so they're
Taylor
like
Farms, close to the airport. So
exactly
a lot
right,
of
and
county employees. So yeah, it'll do well. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So that's where we're at right now, and still kind of expanding, and
Yeah.
it's been good. It's been a lot
I,
of fun.
I love the concept though. That's very cool. Have you
Yeah,
ever thought about, you know, doing special events or almost like catering or that kind of stuff?
that's just come up, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I might have to bring you in on that,
Ah,
Jordan.
I'm happy to help. Yeah, I'm happy to
Yeah,
help. We did it for years, and I think it's just a great way to, like you said, get those live action events. I know for like at the Rec and Park District would do for the crab feed. We'll bring in students, and it's a
yeah,
fundraiser for them, and wouldn't be possible without them. Just the sheer manpower, but and it's good for as on your with your coach hat. It's good to
yeah.
see the athletes out there, like, hey, like you
Helping
know
out some civic
get out there and
civic
earn it.
duty.
Like I do remember when we were at school. I'll give credit to the baseball team, man. They were selling those chocolates like nobody's business.
Right, right.
They
Yeah,
were not
yeah,
messing around, and that field was looking nice in those days.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's good to have the students, have some skin in the game.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That is something that's come up. It's nice. Have you seen the space, the cafe space?
Years ago, I haven't seen the new version of it, so I need to
Yeah,
go
so
visit.
there's like an outdoor courtyard, and the
Yeah,
indoor is really big.
so
So
cool.
we've been kind of talking about like a like resource kind of like fair slash kind of like maybe like music event or
Yeah.
something, in there.
Well, we
Uh,
used to do fundraisers for the football team for North County when it was household. They did like a company festival, and we would help with that.
oh,
And
okay.
yeah, but yeah, let's do it, man. Anything I can do
Yeah,
to help. And speaking of music, obviously we have a mutual friend. One of my first interviews that I did on the podcast was with Wes Finley from
yeah.
Revolution during the pandemic. He was gracious enough to sit down with me for a couple of hours, which was awesome in the middle of the pandemic. And
I listened to it yesterday to get an idea of kind
awesome,
of your format. And no, that was
cool,
really
cool.
good. I totally enjoyed it, man. I was like
Awesome, man.
feeling
Well,
and
you know, all of us were fortunate to grow up with him and consider him a friend, but you're on a whole different level. You guys, I would say, are best friends, and you always have been since back in those days. And what was it like for you as you're going through your journey and seeing
Wow.
him go down to Santa Barbara and kind of do his thing? I mean, what and knowing, seeing where it is now, and you guys are, you know, getting older in life and having families and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how has that journey been just with you and Wes?
Gosh, man, yeah, we go way back. I mean, just one word, man. It's like just I'm proud of him,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, and his accomplishments. Like I always knew he was bound for
yeah,
something good. You know, he's always just a great musician, really disciplined, but just we're all really proud of what he's done, and even more so the friendship.
yeah,
Like how he is with people, right? I
yeah,
mean, he could have totally turned a corner to been somebody else. I mean, that's what kind of, and I'm sure you've seen it,
yeah,
and
totally.
we've seen it. We've been around the music industry, and we've kind of seen people kind of go down that route, and they get a little bit, they end
Yep.
up went a little too far, but he's
I
always
rem-
maintained his humbleness.
I remember, I
I'm
think one
really
of the
proud of
first shows I went to, and I think you might have been there with Bobby and some of the guys, and it was at Chico. My brother had just moved to Chico, and they played it there at the Senator Theater downtown Chico. And I remember I went to him after the show, and I don't know, there might have been, I don't know, 500-600 people there at that show, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be something. He's like, you think
it.
so? I was like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for
I
sure.
said, I, you know, I'm sure you guys have plenty of people that you're going to work with, but make sure like don't lose this momentum. And of course, they killed it, and they've continued to
Yeah,
kill it for over 20 years,
yeah,
which is
right. 20 years. It's crazy to
insane.
think about.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
And in
Still
so many
doing.
ways, they were the soundtrack to that era, you know, because we
Yeah,
started I was for work. I was traveling a lot, up and down California, and it was just like the soundtrack of that era of the like
totally.
mid 2000s to the till now. If you know San Diego to Chico is just like
Yeah,
you're seeing your friends at school, you're going out, you're and it was just the soundtrack to everything we
yeah.
were doing, and to know that it came from Moss Landing, Ferndale, North County was pretty cool.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah, it's been pretty special to be, just kind of riding the wave,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
seeing
very
him
cool.
rise out.
And like you said, some people, you know, use that fame and that fortune to you know, just to party or just to take care of themselves or just to
Yeah,
like become a different person. And in some ways Wes went the opposite direction and went even deeper with his friends and shared all this experience with all of them. And you know, I'm pretty sure he's the only child, right? So yeah, I remember
yeah,
him saying that, you know, my friends were my family, and
yeah,
that's really, and it's true.
totally.
And he doesn't just say it, I mean, he really lives it. And so it's been cool to see that progression, and super grateful for that. So for you in that mix, I mean, we were
Yeah,
going to shows or partying, and all of a
yeah.
sudden I was like, oh, this guy's got a lady, got a wife, having babies. Tell us
Yeah,
about kind
man.
of that transition
Yeah,
of you know, meeting your wife, and now you got a family, and you
yes.
bought your family's house, and it's kind of
Yeah,
come full circle, man. So
it
you know,
has. It,
I'm grateful and proud and happy for you, because you know,
thank you.
knowing I had some similar challenges with my family growing up. It's
Yeah,
part of it's just the era, part of it's the area, you know.
totally.
I mean, I grew up with drug and alcohol abuse. It's in my family, and all that
Yeah,
comes with that, right? And
right.
so now to come full circle and see that we're getting an opportunity now that we're in our 40s, we're the grown-ups now, we're the
Yeah,
teachers, we're the leaders, we're the parents, we're the coaches, and we know what it's like, that other lifestyle. Now we want to really do give it different opportunity for our, you know, wife and kids.
absolutely. And I know, just being really well connected with community, it's like we need positive influences
Yeah,
out there. I
yeah,
mean, and you can relate, right? Like kind of growing up in those households, it's like, man, like we're fortunate that I'm sure there's people in your life that, you counted on and
yeah,
when things were kind of
totally.
rough. And so did
A lot of
I.
them were coaches. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of them
yeah,
were coaches.
yeah.
I mean, had some of the greatest impacts in my
Teachers and
life,
coaches. Yeah,
and also shout out to my aunt and my uncle,
yeah,
who were really there for us growing up. And but yeah, coaches and teachers, and there
yeah,
was people out there that made sure that we were all right,
yeah,
and I always appreciated that, and I took that to heart, right, and
yeah,
I knew that as a coach and as a teacher, that's something that I wanted to give back to as well.
yeah,
You know,
totally.
just I mean, if you think about like education, I mean, gosh, it's one of like the most direct ways to impact your community, right?
Yeah.
Because you're especially in an area like this, right? Like a lot of the kids that are raised through here, yeah, some of them are fortunate to get out and to, go and explore the world and maybe move away. But a lot of us, like this is where we're going to be, and like to
Yeah.
have a positive impact on the youth. I mean, really, like we're helping to create those future leaders,
Well, that's why I appreciate your willingness to put your neck out there and put your name on and your voice to the changes that need to come to the school district over the last few years,
Yeah,
because and I felt the same passion and the same call, because it was like, you know what, I realized other than maybe Ocean Mist,
yeah,
there's no more influential entity in North County than the school
yeah.
district. It
You're absolutely
touches
right.
almost every household, right? One way or
It
another,
really is the house.
either as an
Yeah,
employer or as a students from K through 12, which is such a critical age. And so I was like, obviously, a lot of times people like to complain, like, oh, why can't we have what Carmel has? Well, we're not Carmel,
we're
okay?
not criminal. Totally.
But that's fine. I don't want to be Carmel. I'm proud
Mhm.
to be Castroville, but
Yeah,
I don't feel like we're maximizing what we do have. So instead of complaining about what we don't have, what do we have and what can we do with it? Like you've done
yeah.
with the ICU and the Billy's Cafe and all that. Like, all right, let's
Mhm.
take this challenge and let's turn it into a positive. And when we had other people who were coming into our community that weren't from here, who were
Yeah,
taking significant resources from our community and then blaming the lack of results on the community, and then you were one of, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
yeah,
Like, we can't stand for this anymore. Like, I would rather, if we're going to have these bad test results, or we're going to have these bad attendance numbers, or we're going to have these poor sports performances, it doesn't have to be this way. It wasn't always this way. Not when we were
yeah.
growing up.
Now when we're growing up,
And
yeah,
it's the same demographics. We,
yeah,
we grew up poor, but we got good results. We were good in school. We were good in sports. What's the difference? And
yeah,
so it was just kind of a wake up call. And so I'm
yeah,
grateful because you were one of the people leading that. Like, you know what? No, we're not standing for this anymore.
yeah,
We're not taking this anymore. And we're going to try our best to make sure that we can be proud of where we live and where we're from. And that starts at home. It starts at school.
yeah.
And so anyway, kudos to you for bringing back some of that pride and fighting for the
You
spirit
got it though,
of
man.
the
I mean,
local.
having you there was big too. Having all like the community support was it
Yeah.
was it was it, was, it made the difference. Like knowing that we had support because it was challenging, right? Like
Yeah.
stepping up to
Yeah.
in an administration that and I'm not, I don't want to belittle anybody or anything,
Yeah.
but it was like we needed a reset, and
Yes.
and, and
Yes.
there was it was a mountain to overcome, really, like
Yes.
to kind of raise that awareness and to
Yeah.
bring attention to what's happening. And I'm really proud of what I see now. Like I see a lot more community involvement. I see an administration that's really trying to connect with the community,
Yeah.
and I've kind of taken a big step back, but I'm still in communication. I'm still kind of what I mean. I have the things that I really know about, like which is special education
Right.
and coaching and that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
you got to let other people do their jobs, what they're
Totally.
what they're intended to be doing,
Well,
and
you're
so
also now, having a family, which is a beautiful thing. And I mean, that's where your attention and
yeah,
focus should be, right? And
yeah,
it's there's enough, and I'm super grateful for our community because there's enough people who are amazing, contributing.
absolutely,
And it's like, you know what? It's hard for us because we're fighters. And it's like,
yeah,
but we don't have to fight every fight. There's other
yeah,
people too that, like, I don't have to wear
totally,
every hat. Like, okay, like, let's give a chance for the next generation to step up, or for
yeah,
the older generation. And some of the biggest leaders of this movement for change recently were
yeah,
former teachers who were
totally,
retired.
yeah,
And that showed you, look at the diversity of the people that are standing up and saying, hey, something's not right. Hey,
yeah,
something needs to change. We need a reset. It was,
yeah,
you had students, you had retired teachers, you
yeah,
had white, black, Mexican, everything,
yeah,
all the, and so gender, it didn't
yeah,
matter. Like, it was
yeah,
like, hey, something's wrong here. And we need to take back our school district. And obviously it's more complicated than that. And it's nothing
sure,
personal, but it's just like, hey,
yeah,
if we're going to own our results, then at least let's own our
yeah,
our results. And so maybe we can make a change one step at a time and bring back that pride. So like you
yeah.
said, I think it's on its way back.
Yeah, no, that's it. You got it, man. You got it.
So thank you so much for your time, man. Where can people
Yeah.
find you? How can we support the Abilities Cafe and the different work
Yeah,
that you're
so
doing?
So we have a website. It's
Awesome.
abilitiescafe.org. We're at the Monterey County Governmental Building,
Great.
in the Shillings Cafe. We're there, I think 3 times a week: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I believe, right now.
Okay.
So come by, ask questions.
And then
We're
other times
ringing.
you're on campus. You're on North County
So
campus.
so the thing that's on campus is totally different from
Right.
Abilities.
Right. Right. Okay.
Abilities is its own separate deal. For me, like, yeah, with our coffee cart, we're there. We're not there on Mondays because it's a late start day, but we're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you're at North County in the morning time, come get a coffee. We'll be
Okay.
supporting
Cool.
our kids. And yeah, that's where we're at right now, man. And
Awesome,
other
man.
than that, I'm in the wrestling room, or locked away here in my dungeon.
That's awesome. Well, I'm proud of you, man, and seeing how far we've all come, and
Likewise.
that now that we're kind of coming back to the community and giving back, and the next generation is stepping up. So I'm grateful for everything that we've overcome, and the contributions that we're all making, and I'm grateful that we're doing it together, and I know we can take it to another level. So I'm excited. A
Me
lot of
too.
times people are like, "Oh, we just need to get these people out and vote these people." I'm like, a
It's
lot of
all,
it's kind of happening naturally. People
yeah,
are moving on, retiring, passing away. It's like now we're not going to have any excuses or anybody to blame. Like
yeah,
for the foreseeable future, it's kind of our time. So what
yeah.
we do with the next 10, 15, 20 years, that's going to be on us.
It's such an exciting time,
Yeah.
right? It's never been about, like, getting pushing people out. It's never been about that,
Right.
right? It's just we want better results, right? We want better outcomes for our kids and more opportunities. That's all it's been about.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing personal, but here's the line in the sand. This,
Yeah,
this side is people who have the best intentions of the community
yeah,
in mind. This side is those who don't. Which one are you
yeah,
on? That
yeah.
simple.
That's it, man.
And
Yeah.
anyway, but thank you for the
I
work you do, bro.
Hey, no, thank you,
Yeah,
Jordan. I really just, appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be up here, and it's my first podcast, so I hope I did all right.
you did great, man. You did great. We
But
covered a lot, and
no, man, I
I'm
appreciate you
excited
doing
to
this.
share it with everybody. So we'll see you soon, man. We'll see you out
Okay,
there.
we'll
All right,
see you,
brother.
buddy.
Take
Take
care.
care.